This is Lori D. Singer, the Songbird Rebuilt, and I'm going to talk more about abusive relationships from my experience, and even you have experience from growing up and maybe seeing things around you, your aunts, your uncles, your mom, your dad, whoever, grandparents, abusing each other. Maybe they didn't abuse their kids. Thank God for that. Because sometimes it goes hand in hand, but sometimes it doesn't. Because I was abused and I tried, the last thing on my mind was to abuse my children. Though now that they're grown up, they swear that sometimes they have anxiety because I yelled a lot when I was younger. A lot. It depends on basically if I had a mate and he was not as he should be, and the point that I was not experienced in love also. I was not really available to give of myself. So that caused a lot of problems. Before my husband, I was with my baby's father, who was he was abusive strictly because I was not giving of myself. I would cook, I'd be nice, I was a great friend. We could have a good time, but when it came to sex, I was not giving of myself. I was the type that would, cross my ankles, whatever, and cause a lot of problems with, I was not trying to give that part of me because I was molested, but that's a different subject. I've been living a long time. I got a lot of subjects, a lot of experience that you don't get from school. You don't get everything from a textbook. Although college is the greatest thing, school is the greatest thing, always seek knowledge. But some knowledge comes from life experience. And my life experience with my baby's father, I was 17. He worked a lot. He was always working, which was a great thing. And when he came in, he wanted to have sex. I was resistant. But he loved me. That was the first one. He loved me. He did express that he loved me. And I'm going to be honest, I did not love him back. I did not fall in love. I did not love him back because very simply, I had a lot of unresolved pain from my childhood. I had some happy feelings from my childhood, but I also had the bad ones, which I just mentioned, which held me back from sex, and it held me back from kissing, hugging. I didn't want anything to do with being touched, but I would be the best girlfriend. Just don't touch me. So, I had a lot of, that caused a lot of problems, with the mate. And he was very good looking. He was very, very, very good looking, and a lot of females chased him around. His looks did not appeal to me because I really don't care about looks. It doesn't affect me at all. I like looks, but it doesn't, it doesn't move me. It doesn't make me do what you want because you're good looking or whatever. I wasn't that type, and I'm pretty sure that's why he chose me. He bought everything I needed. He bought everything the baby needed. But he was also abusive. He did not physically harm me, but he did not call me names. He didn't insult me, but he was abusive in the fact that because I didn't love him, he tried to control that. He tried too much to control it. Once someone told me I tried too hard, and now that I'm saying this, I understand what they mean, because it can go to the point of too hard is like if someone holds you at their house It doesn't matter if you have a baby with them or not, and you live somewhere else, and they won't let you out the door, and they have someone bigger than you, female downstairs, saying to her, "Don't let her out the house." Then that's kidnapping, number one. So that's trying way too hard. That's beyond trying hard. That's kidnapping. But it was, nobody went to jail or anything like that. He kept me at his house for about 4 months. He wouldn't let my brothers or sisters see me. He wouldn't let me use the phone. That's abusive. Even though he gave me everything I wanted, he was really nice to me. He figured, I guess, he'd keep me under his wing until I started loving him and being more giving of myself. But it just didn't happen. So I just played a little extra nice, and I did say play, a little extra nice around the 4th month, because I just really wanted to go home. And I was tired of being stuck there. I couldn't even go out to the store or anything because he knew that I would try to leave. So it's still abuse. He bought all my clothes because I only bought 2 changes of clothes. I was only supposed to stay 2 days, and I was there for a month. So that's abuse. He bought the baby all of everything she needed, my daughter. And of course, when he took me home the 4th month, I was very pregnant, and again, of course. That's, I guess, made him feel comfortable about bringing me home, because at that point I was throwing up and having sickness every day and cravings, but throwing up because every time I ate it just made me sick. So he knew I was pregnant. My stomach was getting hard at the bottom, and the baby, was growing, so he knew. So I guess he felt really safe about bringing me home. He brought me all the way home. He took the hinges off the door. That's the first time I saw somebody do that, because I left my keys at his house in Connecticut. And he took the hinges off the door, and he came in, and he found a job, because I lived in Massachusetts and he lived in Connecticut, and he actually found a job in Massachusetts to really quick too. It only took him like maybe about less than a week. And so he went out every day and we worked, and he came back to where I was staying. I guess he wanted to see if I was coming back to see somebody that was coming to visit, but there was no one. He stayed with me until I was 6 months pregnant, and then he went back to Connecticut. I guess he figured I couldn't really do much. Whatever, back and forth. And then we broke up because I just didn't like being controlled that way. And when we broke up, he didn't want to accept it. Nobody wants to accept that. But I moved. I found a different apartment. This is how I break. This is not nice. I did tell him the truth, and then I moved into a whole new apartment. I did not tell him my address or anything. He found me. Somehow he found me. When he found me, the baby was 8 months old. He's my son, my oldest son. He was 8 months old by the time he found me. And I hadn't seen him since I was 6 months pregnant. He was not, when he came to the door, he came kicking the door, kicking it. He's very mean. A lot of people in the street were afraid of him. I didn't stay in the street or go in the street, but I heard rumors that people were afraid of him. So it was kind of funny because he was really nice to me, except for the kidnapping part. But basically, when he came in, I was 18 and I was not happy that he found me because, I kind of was happy. I was kind of, I took it in a way that, wow, he really loves me because he came looking for me, which is probably true. But then it wasn't happy because then he says to me, if you don't marry me, I'm going to take the kids from you. Look how you're living. You're poor. You don't have anything. Look at this. Look at this old couch my mother gave me this living room. Oh, it doesn't matter. Look at this. Look at this. Well, you don't have that much food in the fridge. You're real poor. So, either you're going to be with me and you're going to marry me, or I'm going to call DSS on you, and they're going to take the kids from you, and I'm going to keep the kids. So you can only see the kids if you come and be with me. And I refused. This went on for a while. He took my daughter. He took her for a visit. He said, I want to take the kids for a visit. I said, you can only take one at a time. So he took my daughter. He kept her for 2 months. I did not see her face for 2 months. And then when he brought her back, and he wanted my son, and then I'm like, I don't know him. No, you're not taking him. You keep him too long. I had to come find you. I had to have my mother come and take me all the way to Connecticut to look for you, and you still didn't show me your address. You just met me at some gas station, tried to get me to come with you again, and actually said to me, you shouldn't have came with your mother, because you should have came by yourself so I could rape you. I mean, and they laughed about it. He was abusive in a passive-aggressive way. And then I go home with my daughter. He comes. He begs for my kids again. I tell him no. He begs to get married again. I tell him no. No, I don't want to marry you. I don't want to be married to nobody. There's no one else. I don't want anybody else. I just don't want to be bothered, because I had a lot of mental problems from being molested as a child, which was just, of course, a few years before that. And so, I was confused I wasn't confused because I didn't know, but don't be confused about abuse. Some people don't hit you and call you names. They just control you, but it's still abuse. And and if somebody threatens you and they want to have your kids taken away because you won't be with them, that's abuse. So the bottom line is, eventually a DSS worker did come to my house and threaten me and tell me the same thing he said. You don't have nothing. I mean, you should just marry him or give him the kids. And, back in the 80s, it was easy for DSS to take your children with no scars, no bruises, no crying, just because of what somebody said. And even that's abuse, I think, of the system. And then a couple of months later, because of the DSS, he actually did take my son. I said to the DSS, he can only have one at a time. So this time he took the son, and I never saw him again until he was 17 years old. Couldn't find him. The police couldn't do anything. It's out of their jurisdiction. No address. And that tore me up, and that messed me up too. That added to my mental problems, because then I was missing a child.